In the backyard of the house, there was a small family sitting together. Jeon Jungkook and his brother Jungwoo with his wife and 5-year-old son Jungmin. I know you won't be able to catch me. He just finished his sentence and Jungkook picked him up in his arms and they both giggled. Jungkook, no one dares to doubt my strength, young man. Jungkook started tickling him and he laughed. Jungwoo, both of you come here, Mrs. Jungwoo. Yeah, dinner is ready. Let's go on a vacation. Jungwoo, let him get dressed and handle his work also. He is always there for you. Jungkook, you guys are my only family, hi, and I can give my life for you guys. Vacation is just a small thing. Tell me where you want to go. Jungkook was living his dream life with his small family after his parents' death, and now there is nothing more important for him than them. Mr. Kim came inside while catching breath. His wife was sitting on the couch. He saw her husband and rushed towards him. What happened to you? Mr. Kim, I'm doomed. I made the biggest mistake of my life. Mrs. Kim, what are you saying? Mr. Kim, I messed up. Messed up with Mafia King Jungkook. That Italian Mafia Liam, he used me against King. What you did to him? Mr. Kim looked at his wife in terror and said, I'm his only family. Mrs. Kim fell on his knees in shock with the news. Mr. Kim knew not just him but his whole family is doomed because he knew he must be coming off him by any second. Opening his eyes, a tear left from it, and he found himself standing inside the cemetery where he just buried his family, his brother, his sister-in-law, and their 5 years old son. All their happy memories were flashing in front of his eyes, and tears were continuously coming out of his eyes. His eyes didn't left their grave. He was losing himself when he felt a hand on his shoulder, and he knew who it was. Jen, control yourself. Jungkook, handle it. I know it's hard, but you have to handle it. JK looked at the graves again and said in his vulnerable voice, let me take out time. Let me try because the time I step outside the cemetery, it will be someone else who will get destroyed. Who will feel the pain? I will make their next 100 generations pay for what they did to my family. His voice turned dark and eyes became red. Jin knew what was coming and he knew there is no one to stop him. Jungkook was standing outside his house when a bodyguard approached him. Guard, boss, here are the details which you asked for. Jungkook took the file and with a swift he opened it and read all the details with cold expression. It was just 3 hours were passed and he came from the funeral, but was ready to take his opponent down anytime. After reading the details, he took out his phone and called someone while going towards his car. After a few seconds, the person picked up the call. On the other hand, Mr. Kim, we should not waste our time. We have to get out of here before he comes for us. Mrs. Kim, how can you even think of taking a life of innocent? Mr. Kim, I didn't knew that there was a plant during the bomb. John family was inside, but Italians knew it. Suddenly, Mr. Kim's phone rang and he saw the caller ID and his whole body started shaking badly. He looked at his wife in terror. Who is it? Mr. Kim Jong-kook. Mrs. Kim covered her mouth with her hands and Mr. Kim picked up a call before he could say something. Jungkook, start counting your days because I'm coming for you, Kim. I will let you know how does it feels when you bury your loved ones with your hand. How does it feels when you came to know that your family got and worst is when they are innocent. I will make sure you feel this pain. First, make sure to save your daughter. Call her and tell her that your father's karma is coming for you to pay the price of his sins. Tell her that Mafia King is coming for you. Jungkook warned Kim and cut the call and Kim started shouting on the call. Jeon, no, Mrs. Kim, what did he say? Mr. Kim didn't reply. His wife and hurriedly made a call to her daughter, and after a few seconds, she picked up the call. Mr. Kim, when? Bangkok. I came back from the evening shift of my job. As I don't stay with my parents, I want to enjoy my life being independent. That's why I've decided to work and earn. As I dropped myself on the couch, my phone rang and I picked it up, and it was my dad. And before I could say something, the doorbell rang and I went towards the door and opened it and saw a man standing outside the house, and there were many black behind him standing and pointing their guns on me. I took a step back and that man came inside the house. I don't know who is he, but I could listen to my dad who was on the couch shouting, "Van, leave the house right now. He is coming for you. Just leave." Well, that was late because I know that the one who was coming for me was standing in front of me shooting glares like he was ready to rip me. I stumbled on something and phone fell on the ground and I took a step back and that guy stood up on my phone and crushed it under his feet. His eyes were not leaving me. I can sense danger for me in his eyes. There were lots of more emotions. Without wasting time, I ran upstairs to my room. I saw him. He was following me, taking slow steps. I went inside the room and locked the door and looked here and there for something to protect myself, but it was late. The door got busted open as he kicked it in one go. I looked towards the door and saw him standing there having redness in his eyes. He was glaring at me and I was getting scared. I tried to run towards the door and as I was about to cross him, he blocked me with his hand and picked me up and threw me on the bed. "Who are you? Leave me." Vine gathered her courage and shouted, but her eyes widened when he pointed gun at her. He crawled on bed and pointed his gun on her forehead by catching her between his legs and hands. "Jackie, don't waste your scream. Save it for the time when I will slit your throat in front of your old Baghdad." He rolled on her face, sending chills to her spine. He roamed the gun from her forehead to her nose. "Jackie, let's make you where you belong." He held her hand and started dragging her outside the house. She was roaming, shouting continuously to leave her, but the beast was ready to take her soul out and to drip every single drop of blood from her body. After reaching the mansion, there was a rush. Every man came out of the car. Jin came out of the mansion as he knew Jackie went somewhere, but then he saw Jungkook dragging a girl. Jin was about to go towards him, but then he saw that Jungkook was dragging that girl towards the basement. Jin asked guard and guard told him about Van. Jin went towards the basement, but Jungkook was already inside the basement and he had closed the doors. Jungkook grabbed Vine and dropped her on the floor and shut the door on basement from inside. He started approaching her and she crawled back. Jungkook was burning with the rage. He wanted Vine. "I haven't done any harm to you. Please leave me. I'm innocent." Vine tried to save herself from him. Jackie didn't stop and continued going towards her. "Jackie, those who got killed by your ruthless father were also innocent." Vine looked at him shocked, thinking how her father can. "Vine, what are you saying? My father can never." Jackie felt more anger as she was defending her father. "Jackie, I didn't bring you here to explain. In fact, you are here to pay for his sin." Jackie held her hand and made her stand. He made her stand on her feet and then he changed her hands above her head and she was still standing. "Jackie, I will make you pay, but slowly. First, you and your family will feel the pain like my family did, and then I will finish you like your father did." Jackie was about to leave the basement when Van shouted, "Why are you doing this to me? I didn't do anything to you. Still, you are torturing me. Can't you understand I'm innocent?" Jungkook turned towards her and went towards her, taking big steps, and held her jaw tightly and said, "Yes, you are right. Innocent, right? You call yourself an innocent, but I'm damn sure that 5 years old kid was more innocent than you. He had to see this world more than you. I myself buried him in the ground with my own hands." He had his dreams which he wanted to achieve. He wanted to grow up to see the world, to feel the happiness. But your father, he snatched his soul from him. Here you have guts calling yourself an innocent. No, you are not because you are the daughter of that person. Jungkook said all that, looking deep in her eyes and left her jaw. Vine could feel the sadness in his eyes, which he only showed for seconds, but then he shouted, Rhonda, a girl came at the front, and Jungkook said, looking at Vine. Starve her, no food, no water, but then give her only that amount which will be enough to make her alive so that I can enjoy torturing her. Jungkook left from there after taking a last glance at her. As soon as he opened the door, he met with Jen standing outside. He saw her Vine was hanging in the wall tied up with chain. Jungkook, what is this? What are you doing to her? Jungkook didn't say anything to him and dialed Mr. Kim's number and said, you must have got the news that your beloved daughter is here. I dare you to come here and get her. Jungkook, now start your countdown, Kim, because you and your general will pay the price for what you did to my family, and the game will begin from the end of your daughter. Jungkook didn't let Mr. Kim say anything and cut the call and went from there. Jin looked at the faded image of Jungkook and he knew no one can stop him now because he is not that same Jungkook who was living happily with his family. He is changed after his family is taken away from him. Jin was feeling sad for Man, but he knew he can't do anything.